Sorry, guys, I was chewing on something, but it turned out to be the floor spacers. Thank you. That's my introduction for the day. I don't know what that means, but let me read that. My bad, my bad. Yeah, guys, today's been a long time coming. Of course, we haven't been present in your lives for the last month or so. Quite frankly, I have no idea why, but personally, we got to do better, especially because of the fact that we did miss a very active
Not
trade
really.
landscape, free agency landscape, yes. But
Active for a couple days.
yeah, exactly. But it's whatever. It's whatever. You know what I mean? We're back. We're better than ever. I'm of course joined by the two greatest men of all time, of course, Mr. Stephen A. Boyle
What's good?
and Mr. Aaron B. Joseph.
What's up? What's up?
And yeah, guys, like I said today, of course, we have a lot of things to talk about. Considering the fact, again, we did miss a lot. But let's get it popping. Let's get it started. So I mean, I guess first things first. Might as well just start off with the biggest, I guess, news of free agency or the summer so far. Is Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving's decision to leave the Brooklyn Nets, and they're really adamant on leaving. It's really weird, especially considering the fact that they were all kissy kissy, buddy buddy. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to play with you in Brooklyn. 2 years ago. But now they want out, and it's very weird. It's very interesting for sure. And it's a very surprising development that uh, caught everyone by surprise. But gentlemen, I want to gauge your interest here. Um, what the hell are we looking at here, and how far do you think this is going to extend? Pause.
Well, when the news first broke about KD requesting a trade, it happened like 2 hours before free agency kicked off, which caught everyone by surprise. And everyone thought this was going to be a super active free agency once that kicked off. And it kind of that kind of became like the more important thing to free agency, considering like the free agency pool was kind of not as big as it was in previous seasons. So everyone was just thinking like, where's KD going to go? Who's gonna come up and try to offer something for him? He his When the initial report first came out, he was talking about how he wanted to go to either Phoenix or Miami. But both of those teams don't really have many assets considering they've been competing the last few seasons outside of like their top young players who there would be kind of be no point in trading for KD unless you have them to pair him with. So they didn't really have any like great packages to put together to trade for him other than Phoenix with Aiton, which we'll get into later because he's now going back to Phoenix and he can't be traded for what is it, like a year now or something like that. So yeah, that's not so Phoenix isn't really an option. Miami never really had like much of a package unless Brooklyn for some reason would be intrigued by a Tyler Hero centered package, which I don't think that's nearly enough for KD. So, now with the recent report about the Celtics offering Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and I think it was like one or two picks, they declined that, and I guess they're still in talks. So yeah, this I can see this going pretty far. To be honest, I don't see a trade happening anytime soon. If we're being completely honest, either. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if KD and Kyrie are both on the Nets come training camp.
Yeah, well, as unfortunate as that sounds, but cause it's been like a month now, and I feel like the he's been on the Nets, Katie's been on the Nets for a longer period of time because of the Rudy Gobert trade. Also, that's probably taken a bigger effect on the league than we actually thought it would. Because on the top of my head, I think it was four first round picks that uh Minnesota gave up for him, which is
It
really
was four
interesting.
and a swap, I think. So like five total, basically.
Yeah, and wasn't it the rookie also? So technically, I guess you could say six in total. You could say that, but like that just like shook up the whole league. And it's like if you are giving six first rounders basically for Rudy Gobert, then what is Kevin Durant worth? So that's what is shaking up the whole league, and it's I wouldn't say Brooklyn is necessarily in a rush to trade Kevin Durant. Like there is no there is no rush, I guess. Like you still, first of all, you still have like 2 months till training camp, and if that, like maybe you could still work something out, bring him back. I don't know how the relationship is really going with him and Brooklyn as of right now, but like I feel like there is no rush, and this is such a big franchise altering situation. You still have 4 years left on his contract, and you can get so many assets that could either, put you in rebuild mode, or you could still possibly go for win now mode depending on what you get. So I can see why, from their perspective, they're going slow with it. Like for our perspective, like waiting for it, it's been such a long time. It's made like for a dry off season. Honestly, hasn't been up to the best so far. Like on top of that, there hasn't been too many like high level free agents in this class. So like there hasn't been too much to expect, and there hasn't been like as many shocking news so far. But like this whole situation, along with Kyrie, which is a different story. So, but I don't know. It's been dry, but understandably dry.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the craziest thing about the entire situation is like how much of a chokehold it's got the league in right now. Like no team's really making any moves right now, apart from Dellavedova getting signed, of course. But that's not like here nor there. But you just talk about it. Everyone's just kind of looking like just kind of just waiting around, see what happens. I think a bunch of teams are calling in, trying to be like a third, fourth team and a big deal. And I mean, I'll talk about it later as how it affects us. but yeah, no, it's crazy for sure. And I think especially, what we were saying earlier with the whole Jaylen Brown situation, and how when the news broke out, Jaylen went on Twitter and he's obviously clearly upset by it. A lot of Celtics fans are upset by it too. They're saying, "Oh, you're going to easily give up on our best player in the finals," stuff like that. And I think like when a superstar like KD asks out and all the teams start calling and reports come out, it's like you really have to be, you really gotta, if you're like a GM or like a front office, you really gotta play it safe. You know what I mean? Especially like like this whole what's his face, Jaylen Brown situation, and then apparently Bam Adebayo was in center and trade talks, and then apparently I think someone shot it down. They're saying it's probably Eric Spoelstra. And then like the whole Ayton thing, it's like there's a lot of moving parts here, and you don't want to upset anyone and ruin your window, because especially when you consider the fact that there's been a lot of packages offered, and the Nets have shot down a good majority of them. And I mean, regardless of what your views are on the Nets saying no to that, I mean, the fact of the matter is it's like there's still big names involved. And again, it's like if you upset the wrong person, it could really just, I guess, set the wrong precedent. You know what I mean? And it's a really, like I said, it's a really weird situation right now, because this is probably one like the first time like someone as big as like KD or someone as good as KD is like yo, I want out, like, you know what I mean, like me like that. And then his running mate Kyrie's like, I also want out. And then you see situations like the Lakers, like they're trying to figure out what's good with that. And then meanwhile they're pausing talks with the Pacers, and then allegedly Miami's like interested in bringing Kyrie in, and I'm pretty sure like his relationship with Jimmy Butler is like well documented as well. So it's like there's a lot of moving parts here, and I think like, and I agree too. I don't think anything's gonna happen anytime soon. Like I really want it to be soon, considering the fact that behind just chilling now. We're in the middle of the summer, and like we still have a couple of weeks left until like all the media day and training camp and all that. So there's a long ways to go. So I prefer something to happen soon. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely a crazy situation, but
I think another big reason why I think it could go longer than people expect is because a lot of teams are probably really hesitant to trade for KD too. Like I know he has 4 years left on his deal, so I know a lot of the people are saying like anybody and everybody should be throwing in their best packages to try to get KD, because this is a once in a lifetime chance. You could have one of the best players of all time on a 4-year deal. But with the way players have been asking for trades over the years, that just because he's on a 4-year deal doesn't mean that you're going to be guaranteed to have him playing for you for 4 years. He could go into your team and play. He could play a little bit and realize, hey, I don't really mess with this situation here either. I would prefer to go somewhere else. Like for like maybe a day or two, when the saga first started, people were saying like the Raptors could be like a sneaky team if they were open to a Scotty Barnes trade offer. They kind of shut that down pretty quickly. But yeah, like I said earlier, KD, he said he wanted Phoenix and Miami as like his top two destinations. So if you're a team like the Raptors and you hear something like that, you don't want to like risk giving up one of your top young players in the league for a guy who may not even like want to play for your team for that long. So that's another factor in that too. And it's kind of crazy because, KD 3 years ago, him and Kyrie signed with Brooklyn. The team had this like pretty fun core team with like D'Lo, Karras, Jared Allen, to name a few. And that was like a pretty fun core they had there. There was like a pretty exciting brand of basketball. They weren't competing at the time, but they finally got back to the playoffs after missing it for the last few years. After the whole Pierce KG trade that kind of brought them back a lot. KD comes to the team. You basically give him everything he wants. You get rid of all of your things he had before that you liked. You bring in his buddy Kyrie. You bring in his buddy DeAndre Jordan, pay him that money. You basically give the guy everything he wants. And then 3 years later, he still doesn't see that the team is fit for him and he wants out. And I know he hasn't played that much over the last 3 seasons. He missed the whole first year with the it was Achilles, right? From the Golden State series.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the whole Kyrie thing, they got Harden got hurt. When they actually played together, it was a really good team. Like they had a lot of success in the 20 something games they played together over this season that the three of them were together. Mm-hmm. But, it just all this stuff that happened didn't work out. And now he got everything he wanted and he still wants out. So, the Nets did everything they could. And now they're in this situation where they don't really know what they can do.
We actually see a quick correction. Yeah, they were pretty successful except the first 2 games they played. Sorry. Yeah, but
I still remember that game.
That was a good game.
Oh, crazy.
Was that double OT or 1 OT?
Double.
That's what I thought, yeah.
That shit was crazy. But yeah, and it's like it's a great point too, because it's like you're doing all that things for KD. You're bringing all his boys in. You know what I mean? You sign like a washed up Blake Griffin, LaMarcus, everything, right? And then bam, all of a sudden he wants out. And to me, that's the difference, right, between LeBron, right, and KD, right? LeBron's not like, I'm gonna leave. Actually, he did leave. But
he did do that, yeah.
He's like, I'm not gonna force my way out. You know what I mean? He's gonna play it out. You dig? He's not gonna be like, I'm gonna leave right now. You know what I mean? Like trade me right now. But that's the crazy thing about KD is like, all right, bro, like he's like what, 32 right now? 33?
33, I think.
33, right?
34. Yeah.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, going on 34. It's true. It's like for a lot of these teams, like, would you give up your I don't know, your 24-year-old center, or like you're like your young guy that's been doing this thing? Like, would you give him up for probably like maybe like 2 more seasons of like superstar KD, and then like what I mean? It's like it's something you got to ask yourself for sure. I mean, me personally, like. Again, we've had discussions before. Like, if I'm Philly or something, like the question is like, okay, would we trade Maxey for it? Like, me personally, yes, I would trade Maxey and all whatever I could do to get him. Right? Like like I said, I got to maximize that Embiid window. But if it's like a team like I don't even know. Like if I say like Phoenix, like the thing about Phoenix, like it's so polarizing because you could go either way. You know what I mean? Like because on one hand you could say you got Chris Paul, but on the other hand you got like DeAndre Ayton, who's literally like. As young as he is, as good as he is, like, would you want to, get rid of him for? Again, you don't even know if you make it at the West with Golden State still there. So it's a lot of questions to ask. But that's one thing. The KD situation is really weird. But I mean, Aaron, if you want to change gears, to the whole, to the Westbrook Kyrie situation. I mean, obviously, it's like there was some weird momentum, and it was kind of developing for a Kyrie trade to happen, and then. All of a sudden, the momentum just kind of died.
And it was funny because there was that one day where it's like, oh, Kyrie's announced that he's not going to accept his offer or whatever, and he's open to being traded. And then it was like the whole day, Woj and Shams were just like kind of going off, giving all this information about the whole situation. Yeah. And then they're like, the only team that has any interest in him is the Lakers. And then it's like, yeah, but the Lakers aren't willing to give 2 first-round picks, and the Nets aren't even willing to listen unless they offer the second one. And then, like, was it like 6 hours later after the initial report the same day, they say, "Oh, never mind. Kyrie is accepting his qualifying
Oh,
his
okay,
offer, his player option." I meant.
yeah. But
I don't know. Like, well, the one thing I do know is just I want him on the team. That's one thing. But LeBron just tweeted something. I have no idea what that means. But what's it called? I would
You talked
definitely
about
want
Skip
him on the
Bayless show
team.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want him on the team. That's for one thing, and he's definitely a better fit than Westbrook. That's one clear thing. So I would love him on the team. But I do like how the like Rob Palinka is being conservative with the picks because one like two first round picks like honestly right now I feel like he's doing a good job of like staying calm and like not pulling the trigger yet. It it comes to the point where if it's like a week away from training camp and the Nets still haven't budged or they still do not want Kyrie and you get to the point where they accept a deal for a first and maybe like a second or 2 seconds or something, that'd be like I'd call it as a win. But even if you like I just don't see why we could give up two first round picks when there is still the chance of I don't see us as that desperate yet. There's still kind of desperate feelings in this in this franchise, I feel, and I'm feeling it too. Like I'm desperate to get rid of Westbrook, but I still think there's time to like work out a deal. And also like that comes in hand with the there's also deals there's deals with apparently the Pacers, the Jazz, and the Knicks. And I do not want the Knicks one. That's like Randall, Evan
oh,
Fournier.
what? You don't want Randall back?
You don't want Julius Randle, Laker legend?
I don't know. I don't know. I
Oh,
realized
Well,
his
he's got like the Westbrook deal, but with like 3 extra years.
yeah, that's the thing. That's the contract. Sorry, I meant the
oh,
contract is like,
all right, bro. Okay, sure.
and then the Fournier contract. I think that's like awful, also.
Hmm.
But what's it called? I don't even think that's gonna happen. I think it's just gonna come down to like the Pacers or Kyrie. Maybe the Jazz. I have no idea what's gonna happen with Jazz, but like
I
there's
don't
like
think
I don't like
Westbrook
that
would enjoy
Jazz
that.
team.
I mean, I don't think he
huh?
would play there anyway. But
I mean, no, I'm just saying I don't like the return for Lakers in that
For
Jazz
the
deal.
Jazz.
Yeah.
I mean, like you have like there's like they have like a bunch of tradable contracts. I heard like Bogdanovich. Who else is there?
Bogdanovich and Mike
Conley.
Conley would probably be.
Yeah, Bogdanovich and
Who
Conley.
else is there? There's more wings though. Who am I missing? Is
They're kind of out
uh
of wings. Like they got Malik Beasley in that in
oh
that
Malik Beasley,
Gobert
that's
trade.
another one. Yeah, like there's another name.
Patrick Beverly.
There's an
Yo, honestly, Beverly
Beverly.
get that. Yo.
No, I would take him, sure, but like I don't know.
Oh,
There's another name. I forgot the name. I can't think of it. But there's also the Pacers deal with Turner and Heald, which I heard. I looked at a Pacers like source thing, and they said that it's the same situation. Like it's the thing with the picks. With the two, it's like the Lakers don't want to get. We don't want to give up two first rounders. We're trying to do a pick and like a few seconds or like even like a pick with a protection on it, like they're just like no. But I don't know. Like we still have time. It's July. You don't really like training camp is some date in September, so we still have around a month and a half, 2 months. But I don't know, man. I can't see a world where Westbrook is back. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, the roster is very scarily awful right now with like shooting wise and
LeBron's
like
still
I
the best shooter on the team.
yeah, that's not good. So I think like right now, as of right now, if you took all of their percentages from last year, we would rank dead last in 3 point percentage, which I do not want to go through again. Which painful. That was all pain. But I just like this roster isn't made for like if Westbrook was to come back, this roster is not made for a Westbrook, AD, LeBron. Like there has to be some move coming. Even Genie Bus and like Rob, they said, yeah, I knew you'd say that. They said like they're not done. So I feel like moves are coming, and it's just a matter of time. It's just being patient and like honestly, I don't think anything happens until this whole KD thing's figure out. Like, especially the Kyrie deal. Maybe the Pacers deal gets figured out before then, but like, I doubt that deal would happen without knowing what KD's gonna do. Like, I have no idea what's gonna happen because that's just gonna. I feel like once the KD deal happens, then everything else, like, not even just like Lakers, Nets, like other teams around the league amongst each other are gonna like make deals because that's just like that sets the bar, I feel, to
Mhm.
what's gonna happen around the league. So like that's why I feel like this free agency has been kind of dry so far because ever since that, like, think about it, like ever since that trade requested, I don't remember anything huge happening.
It was just the
Maybe
first like
the
3 to 4 days of free agency. People were signing left and right, and then after that, actually not even the first 2 days, it was like a lot of signings. Then like the third and fourth day, there was like the rest were kind of filling out a little bit, and then it was just like it's just been like kind of sporadic from here on out.
Yeah, but trades have
yeah.
seemingly died though. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's like a little choke.
Well, like,
The trade saved it in the
way,
beginning.
Yeah, yeah,
well,
it really, yeah.
either way, like there wasn't even like big free agents, like unrestricted free agents at least.
Mhm.
And there was like Zach Levine and Bradley Beal and all those guys like you knew who were gonna resign. There's no chance they go anywhere else because first they're not gonna turn down that money, and it was already expected. So there wasn't really any like unexpected free agency deals that I could really like blockbuster. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Even like next year, like I think I looked at the next free agency class next year. I think it's the same as this one, if not worse. So I feel like the trades are just going to be like the main source of like some kind of blockbuster thing.
All right. So before we move on from the Lakers, I just want to give my quick take on them. So regarding the whole including both picks in any deal thing, I think they should do it personally, and here's why. So you don't know how long you have LeBron left. It could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, it could be three. You don't really know. So I feel like you want to maximize that window now. And secondly, I feel like people are kind of overvaluing those Lakers picks just a little bit. I know it's like a long way down the line, and after LeBron, they don't have any assets left. So you can predict that they're not going to they're not going to have any like great young players by then. But they have if they did want to go full rebuild, they have Anthony Davis down the line. If they really wanted to go full rebuild, they have an Anthony Davis trade where they can get assets back.
I was gonna say that.
And then
Yeah.
also it's Los Angeles. If you have a team where there's no stars and you have all this cap space, like they could easily in a couple of years have like two max salary spots, and then two guys are going to be like, hey, that's Los Angeles Lakers. I want to go play there. They could sign. They have that to use to sign players. I feel like those
Yeah.
like it's kind of like with that Miami Heat pick from a couple of years ago that was like tossed around the league and all these big trades. Like it started. I think the Clippers had it, or no, the Sixers had it from. They got it from somebody. Somebody had it before the Sixers. I forget what trade we got it in, but then we used that pick as like the centerpiece for the Tobias Harris trade to the Clippers, and then the Clippers used it for something else. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like thrown around the league and all these like pretty decent sized trades. And then the Heat ended up getting Jimmy Butler and like developing Bam, and that pick turned into like nothing too spectacular anyway. So I feel like these like picks all the way down
Yeah.
the line from these like big markets are being kind of overvalued in a way. And I feel like the Lakers, if they can upgrade their team right now with that pick, they should do it.
No, exactly. It's like go
Yeah.
back to the philosophy of like, yo, if you have an opportunity to get your roster right now ready for a championship, you do it. You know what I mean? Like Steve said, like I was gonna say that earlier too. Honestly, it's like yeah, a lot of people are like freaking out about the pick. Like, all right, if you want to put protections on it, fine, whatever, I don't care. But you have AD. You know what I mean? Like again, worst case scenario, when he has like a year or two left, like honestly, like obviously some people will get interested in him. Just call around the league, get a trade package going, you get some picks back and some players back. And like Steve said, it's like it's LA. It shouldn't be too hard to find people who want to go there. You know what I mean? So I think for the Lakers, especially, I mean, as a LeBron fan, I want to see him, play with some productive guys and not with like people who shoot like 20% from three and play no defense. But I mean, before we move on, Aaron, I was going to ask you, like, what would you rather like see? Would you rather see a guy who LeBron won a championship with before and Kyrie and like, I mean, rumored to be Joe Harris, but they want Seth Curry. I mean, we could talk about that too, I guess. But I mean, would you rather have that trade package return, or would you rather have like two really solid returns in Buddy Hield, who's like, in my opinion, probably the second best shooter in the league after Curry, and then Miles Turner, who's like a do-it-all center, who can like really bring a whole new dimension to the Lakers team. Like, what would you rather have?
I don't know. Like this is the thing. Like a weird. Like I listen to this like literally every day on the Lakers podcast I listen to, and like they like discuss this a lot. Kyrie, if you bring Kyrie in, like like that's like a top 15, 20 player in the league right there, and that's like you already had that chemistry with LeBron and Kyrie, and adding AD to there, like your ceiling, I feel is higher, but I don't know, like that's also got to figure out with depth. That's a whole nother thing. But if you're just talking pure, just starting lineup, I would rather have Kyrie than Buddy and Miles for just this reason. I think because, first of all, one big thing is that the NBA doesn't have a vaccine mandate anymore, I don't think. So I think Kyrie is able to play. I I'm pretty sure that's fine. I don't know how like the cities like how that works yet over there, but that's one thing. So I think he would be available, and like on the Buddy and Miles side, like that definitely like I don't think there's no problem with it. Like if that trade happened, then I wouldn't be mad at all. But compared to Kyrie, like Miles, I don't know, like how tall is Miles Turner? Like 6'10", 6'11". He could
Hmm.
play the five, and if like say you're in the playoffs, say you're playing the Warriors in the playoffs, is he really gonna like be on the floor? Like
No, but
I don't see.
in the playoffs, you're going to want 80 at the five most of the time anyway. So,
Yeah, so that's the thing.
but here's
Like,
the thing with me. So, personally, I would take the Buddy and Miles deal. I know Miles Turner like hasn't really played that much over the last couple of seasons. He's had a lot of injury concerns, but at the end of the day, with the depth that the Lakers have right now, I feel like I'd rather have two guys I know can give me good quality minutes rather than one guy in Kyrie who's kind of like a wild card at this point in his career.
Well, Kyrie and Joe Harris or Seth, I don't know whoever it is, allegedly.
well, wait, that's hold on before we bring that up. Um, so I doubt it's possible, but I saw like things online where you could you could offload for Russ and the two picks, or Russ and one pick. I don't know. It was a rumor. It doesn't seem feasible at all. But this would be like kind of a dream scenario: is offloading Russ for Kyrie, and then THT and Nunn for like it wasn't Buddy. It was like Eric Gordon or someone. That's not like ideal, but like something like that. I feel like you don't include Russ and THT in the same deal. Like if you get separate packages for them, that'd be pretty chill. Like that would be pretty great actually. But I don't know. Because first of all, one of them is not going to be on the team next year because they're probably like two of the worst. Like their skill sets just don't bend like well together, and it is literally impossible for them to be on the court together. So one of them is gone. I know that, and most likely Russ. But if you're able to somehow get two deals separately that don't involve both of them in the same one, that could like maximize the potential of the roster, that'd be pretty clutch. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I saw it online, but honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like you make a good point with the whole Miles and Buddy thing, where it gives you more depth. But my thing was just, can Miles stay healthy is one thing, and can Miles actually stay on the floor? And also, Buddy, he has under contract for I think 2 more years. I can't remember on top of my head, but from what I know, he's not a great defender. I'm not saying Kyrie's a great defender, but like from what I'm saying is Buddy is not like
No,
he obviously could shoot and he's a scorer. But if he has an off night, what is he giving you on that contract with just like 20 something million a year? and for the next like 3 years. And the one, I'm like rambling, but like
Yeah.
another thing is like the cap space for next year is a big key. Apparently, that's what I heard for the Lakers because there's literally no one under contract except AD and THT. I don't know how much that matters to the Lakers, but
That's a fire
they're
core.
looking, huh?
That's a fire core. Just two of them.
Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like future flexibility is what I heard that they're prioritizing. So I don't know how it's gonna work, but I would take Kyrie. To be honest, though, that raises your ceiling.
Mhm.
Can we be done with the Lakers talk now, please?
Wow, they're the greatest team in the NBA right now. So
Oh yes.
Yeah,
I just want to see, like I said, I just want to see LeBron win. That's all I care about. So whatever they got to do to make it happen, they make it happen. But
Another team that's been very active. Let's go into the Rudy Gobert trade real fast.
I'm talking about Utah in general, I guess.
Yeah, but so the Wolves are doing this whole experiment thing where they're gonna play Towns and Gobert together, who are like polar opposites at the center position, pretty much. Towns is like one of the best offensive bigs of all time, best shooting bigs of all time. Never been defense has never really been his forte in the league. Rudy Gobert is 3-time defensive player of the year, one of the best defensive players of all time. And, he's going to be down low. Towns is going to be probably on the perimeter a lot more. I feel like they're probably going to have their minutes staggered a bit. But I definitely think that this trade raises their ceiling, especially in the regular season. I feel like they're probably likely to finish maybe top 4 or 5 in the West now. And I feel like them getting a home court advantage is a pretty good bet. But in terms of what they gave up, mortgaging your whole future to bring in Rudy Gobert, especially on the Wolves right now, who like their main guys on their team are Edwards and Towns. And Towns is on the verge of entering the prime of his career. But I feel like their main guy at this point is Edwards, who is about to be 21 years old. He's nowhere really close to his prime. And he's only going to be getting better from here. I understand, like we saw with the Celtics this year, they surrounded Jason Tatum, like the last couple of years actually. Tatum and Brown have been, in the conference finals 3 or 4 times in their career already, and they're not even 25 yet. Well, Tatum's not even 25 yet. Brown is 25. They just made the finals. I understand wanting to, cut when you have a guy like Edwards who's assumedly going to keep getting better and better every year. I know you want to, try to capitalize on that as quick as possible with him being on his rookie deal still. But mortgaging your entire future for Rudy Gobert, who's 30 years old, by the time his Supermax contract ends, I think he's going to be 35. And he's going to be making over $40 million. It's just a lot. I like the Gobert acquisition, but what they gave up is a lot. Five first-round picks, including a lot of your key rotation guys from this past season. And granted, they did add some other guys like Kyle Anderson. They brought back Taurean Prince. Who else did they add? They added Austin Rivers I thought Austin Rivers was a pretty decent signing for them off their bench. I think they brought in Bryn Forbes too. They have a solid roster, plus the guys they kept like Jalen Noel, Jaden McDaniels. They have a pretty solid roster, but do we really think that they're going to be competing for a championship with the rest of the league, the rest of the top tier teams in the league? I was curious what you guys thought.
No, that's a great point too, because I was saying it when it went down to, I think what they sent out for Gobert was kind of crazy. Like you said, the future capital, and then like I said, guys obviously Pat Bev, but what's his
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, you know what I mean? It's who's getting calls now apparently too. So it's stuff like that. It is kind of crazy to think about, especially considering how polarizing Gobert is. And Steve, obviously I know how much you like him, but at the same time, it's he has fell short in the playoffs before. That is the truth of it. You know what I mean? You could argue whatever about it, but I'm just saying it's still a lot to give up. And what Aaron was saying earlier, it's when stuff like that happens, then it's okay, then Brooklyn's going to raise the asking price to a lot. You know what I mean? So it's it's a lot of things to watch out for. I think it's interesting for sure that Minnesota just went out and said, you know what, screw it. We're going to get Gobert, and that's our championship roster now. You know what I mean? So it's I guess they're really adamant about making it work. Everyone's trying to drip steal off of us and make it Tower City, but I mean, it's not going to hit the same, unfortunately. But Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting though. Honestly, like, yeah, they probably will finish like top four, top five in the West, but are they contenders? I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think like, I mean, Edwards gonna do his thing, Cat's gonna do his thing, and then Deal's gonna do his thing, I guess. Gobert's probably gonna do his thing, but it's just like, yeah, again, it's like I just don't see that roster coming together and beating like a top tier team. Like I feel like I don't think it'd beat like a Clippers team or a Warriors team or God willing like a Lakers team just because LeBron, of course. But you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. It's like when you think about it. So I don't know. It's weird, but I mean I like it. I'm kind of definitely interested to see how like that offense defense front court matchup's gonna go. But yeah, I mean for as far as Utah goes, like I like the return for Utah. You know what I mean? Obviously, like we just said
Mm.
it, like they got a really good return back. And I think they're
They
gonna
got they got a lot of guys like role players that they can flip for more assets too.
exactly right. And it's like they're going for that weird like that retool thing right now. So I think they're more than fine, like in a good position right now. So yeah, definitely an interesting trade. I didn't see it happening at all. I didn't think it was
I did not see that coming.
yeah, it was so random, but I mean, dope for
Also,
Utah. Huh?
also, I think I'm a lot more intrigued with the fit than most people are. Like, I know a lot of people have been like kind of shitting on it recently, saying like, "Oh, Towns is going to clog the lane for Edwards," and I mean not Towns. Gobert's going to clog the lanes for Edwards and Towns. But if you really think about it, like Jared Vanderbilt played that exact same role with the team last year, where he was just kind of like in the dunker spot most of the time on offense. He didn't get in Towns or Edwards' way. They still did their thing. They both averaged 22 plus this past season. They were thriving on offense. So I don't see the Gobert fit being that much of an issue, especially since they have another guy who could screen for them, run more pick and roll action. I think Towns and Towns is a pretty solid playmaker himself. I think Towns and Gobert like pick and roll actions as two bigs would be pretty interesting, since Towns can do a little bit more with the ball. But yeah, I don't really see that being too much of an issue because that's kind of what Vanderbilt was already doing. And also, like I said, I imagine they're going to stagger their minutes a lot. So, I don't really see it being. I don't see the fit being too much of an issue, and I feel like it's only going to raise their defensive ceiling. I feel like they're probably going to be like a top 10 defense at least.
First of all, they didn't drip steal from the Cavs. They drip stole from me because I came up with the tower lineup in 2K. And according to that calculation, the Minnesota Timberwolves are on their way to a championship because it works.
That's a
But
crazy take right there.
yeah, but I actually like first of all, like that trade came out of nowhere. Like I had no idea that that would actually like Gobert would actually be on the Timberwolves. I it's been a while. I don't know where he was rumored to go. Like, do you guys remember like what teams were like actually trying to get
The
him?
Bulls, the Bulls was
Was
like
it
the
just
biggest one.
Bulls?
Yeah, like
Oh
who's
yeah.
switching them?
Yeah, the Bulls was one of the big ones. A lot of people were talking about the Hawks for a while.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, so like
there
those
was no
make
main one.
sense. Yeah, like you just wouldn't expect it to be the Wolves. And now you'll see that Cat is going to be playing the four, which is, it's going to be a crazy front court to watch because if you see that you're starting lineup in the depth chart, the opposing team is going to be like, it's definitely different. Like I don't remember seeing some kind of like front court like this in a little while where it's two dominant all-star type of players where one.
Sorry, does that clear my throat?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're not that level yet, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Christy. But it's gonna be interesting because obviously Cat is the best big shooter in the league. And then you have Gobert, which is gonna be like you ultimately gonna be the best defender on the court. And it's gonna be crazy to see. And also like you have that talent too. That they're not the only ones on the roster. You have Edwards. You have D'Lo. Okay, I believe in D'Lo this year. He's gonna have a great year. Like that team is well set up to like I agree they're not gonna be contenders. I see them making like the second round at most, and even at that point, it's like again, I think now like just for this year's like this NBA now like are you gonna be able to keep bigs like that on the floor when you're playing the Warriors or someone who goes small like I don't know how that's gonna work when it goes down to that stage, but I know regular season wise at least they're gonna be good. it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that all works out because, Cat, you've seen Cat at the five this whole time, and now them coming together is just going to be interesting. Also, for the Utah side, I don't know how the Donovan Mitchell saga is working out, which we could also like talk about a little because that has a big part to do with the Jazz and the West. But I don't know. I don't know how that Donovan Mitchell thing is going to work out. If he's actually going to end up in New York before the end of before the start of the season. But what do you guys think? Because that plays a big role in all this too.
Well, at first the Jazz, after the Gobert trade, they were like, all right, so we're not. They got all those role players plus the picks, so they were like, we're not gonna commit to a full rebuild just yet. We're gonna see if we can build around Donovan, try to, build a team around him with these guys starting off here. We have all these picks now, so we can go forward from here. But then like a week later, they were like, Donovan Mitchell, like
Yeah.
the Jazz had originally said that Mitchell was safe and they were going to try to retool, but now they are taking calls for him. And there was the one night where like the Knicks were pretty damn close to getting him, and it was basically all of New York's assets minus RJ Barrett, which I think the dispute was like they didn't want to include Quentin Grimes, and the Jazz wanted Quentin Grimes, something like that, after his strong summer league performance. So I just want to ask you guys this question: like the other main team that Donovan Mitchell's been linked to for like over a year now, I'd say, is like the Heat. So would you guys rather have, if you're Utah, would you rather take that Knicks trade package of Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin, Miles McBride, and then like Fournier for to make the money work, and then like their picks, or would you rather take the Miami deal, which would be like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and then their picks, I guess, or whatever their package was? Would you rather have like a hero centered deal, or like that collection of younger guys, not really too established yet, plus their picks from the Knicks?
Honestly, first of all, what I heard is Duncan Robinson. I think Duncan Robinson is way too overpaid because he's a one-dimensional player as of right now. So it all depends, honestly, I think, on the picks, like what picks you're getting, how many you're getting, how many you could like how many you could accumulate from them. Because well, first of all, you already got five for Gobert. What could you get for Donovan Mitchell? That I feel like they'd be asking for more at that point because like you obviously at this point in time you would get more for Donovan Mitchell than Rudy Gobert. But I honestly think it depends on the picks. But if we're going on just players, based on players, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, or the players you mentioned, honestly, I would go for Hero and Robinson just because Hero is established, and Robinson, who knows, you can maybe work it out. I honestly don't think Robinson like is all that. Like he got way too overpaid, but like I'd rather take the established players and maybe work with them. If it doesn't work out, you can maybe flip them for more. But like you already have enough picks, you're gonna get picks from the deal. But like for right now, player wise, I'd just take the established player. Like there's no reason to like I feel like risk it. If those other players don't work out.
Here's why you're wrong. Here's why I disagree. No, I'm just kidding. That brother cannot play the game basketball. He has small hands. No, I was kidding. No, I think I agree. I think I would definitely take the Miami deal just because, like Aaron said, I think just because Utah looks like they're ready for that retool. I think I'd rather have an established guy like Hero too. You know what I mean? Just to have him in here, just kind of kickstart that new look Jazz, I guess. And like what Aaron said, like too, it's like think about it. Like if you can also flip here later down the line if you have a better option as well. So I think I'd rather do the Miami deal. But if not, like if that doesn't formulate for some reason, like the New York deal isn't bad either. Like that's a pretty good deal too. And you also got to think about it from Miami's perspective, because I think I heard that apparently like Tyler's not really trying to be like the sixth man for too long, even though he just won the award. So I mean, especially from Miami's perspective, like I wouldn't be upset with losing him, especially considering again, like what we said earlier, it's like that championship window. You have like older guys like Jimmy, Lowry's there. Hopefully, he can bounce back, and um, Adebayo's getting some more experience under his belt, a couple All-Star selections and all of that. So yeah, might as well trade for Spida, see what you can do there from Miami's perspective. But I think those two should really be the ones that are mainly engaged, just because I feel like they can mutually benefit each other.
Heroes
But
also due for a payday next year too.
yeah, exactly right. That's a great point as well. And I mean, I guess from the New York perspective, it's like, yeah, sure, you're getting quickly getting Toppin, who was like a lottery pick, and some like pretty solid, young like sturdy role players. And honestly, that's not a bad return for them. And then for New York side of things, you can bring another star alongside RJ. And you bring, Spider home, and it's probably like the most comfortable he'll be going from like, like Ye Doggy Utah to like, you know what I mean, to like New York City where he's from. So yeah, but I think like I said, from the Jazz perspective, if I'm Danny Ainge, I think I'm definitely going for the biggest fish or the biggest name, which would be Tyler Hero in this instance. But I mean, again, I wouldn't hate the New York deal either. Or if they want, they could trade him to Cleveland for Cedi Osman and Dylan Windler, but that's not the here nor there, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, for sure. Like, I mean, yeah, that's not that, like it's definitely a good situation to watch too, because it's like, yeah, we obviously got a KD and Kyrie thing, but Mitchell's a huge name. Again, it's more than likely the Utah's going to try to move on, trying to get their next chapter going. So, yeah, I think I would definitely try to do Miami if I was aging them. But if you want to move on, I guess to like the question that we have here. So favorite offseason for a team.
Wait, real quick.
My bad.
Going into the offseason, like probably the biggest storyline, I guess, was following the Western Conference semifinals. DeAndre Ayton was kind of unsatisfied with, his minutes being reduced in those last couple games in the series. He kind of had like a falling out with Monty Williams on the bench. And
whatever.
And he was it seemed pretty apparent that the Suns were going to try to get something back from an sign and trade. And then the whole KD news came out. The Suns were trying to get involved in that. And then a week, maybe I think it was actually like 2 weeks passed by. Nothing happened with Ayton, and everybody's just kind of like waiting around. And then all of a sudden, you get the Woj report. Ayton has signed an offer sheet with the Indiana Pacers for a 4-year max, $133 million, I think it was. And instantaneously, the Suns pretty much matched the offer, brought him back, and now he put out a statement saying like, yeah, I love Phoenix. These are all my brothers here. I'm ready to lock back in and stuff like that. So he's not. I don't think he's eligible to be traded for a year, something like that. Well, I think he's eligible to be traded in January, but he has he can veto any trade he wants for up to a year or something like that. So he's in Phoenix for the foreseeable future. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that the Suns should have tried to make another move quicker to try to get something back from? For example, like I know San Antonio, Detroit had interest in him before. Indiana, of course, they made him the offer. They had interest in him. Do you think they should have tried to make something work with those teams before? Or do you think that this was the best course of action for them to just bring him back and continue to compete as they have?
Honestly, like I feel like you could just make it work. Like I honestly don't think it's the end of the world. If Ayton is so hell bent on leaving, then and he just starts acting mentally absent from the team during the season, then I feel like it is a problem. But if he can get past that and the chemistry is still there with his teammates, I feel like it's not such a big a deal. And if because they're still a competitive playoff team, like it's not like it's some like random like rebuild team where Ayton is desperate to leave. Like they're still able to compete. So honestly, I feel like it's not the end of the world. Like if they can make it work chemistry wise, again, like how they have been, and compete the season. If it doesn't work, you have next season to trade him. And I don't think his value is going to dramatically like plummet by then. I think you still get the same amount of offers and same amount of assets you can get from now. So honestly, I don't think it's the end of the world. If it doesn't work this year, you still have next year. Like you're still under contract for 4 years, 3 years by that time. So I honestly don't think it's that big of an issue.
Yeah, no, and especially when it consider the fact that it was like a Phoenix boner to get rid of him. You know what I mean? Like, especially how like Sarver was like, yeah, I don't want to pay him, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like that's just so weird in my opinion. Like I just thought the way they handled that was just so weird. So me personally, I was certain that he was gone. You know, not because he was a bad fit or anything, just because they were acting really weird about it. And I guess understandably so, they were trying to, get that deal going for KD, and they were trying to make Aiton that centerpiece. And I guess they were trying to figure that out. But then all of a sudden, the Pacers come out and they offered him the deal, and then he signed with it. But I mean, as far as like when I think when Detroit and San Antonio called him up, I feel like obviously in hindsight, yeah, they should have probably made a move, especially considering again how weird they handled it. But as far as like the perspective of like how does Aiton fit in Phoenix? Like we already know like how good he is. We already know how good he played within Phoenix. Like, I mean, they made the finals with him. You know what I mean? He's not the issue. You know what I mean? So, like Aaron said, there's literally no problem with him staying on the roster. There's no problem. It's like I said earlier, there's going to be that mental disconnect maybe between him and the team, just because it's like, all right, now he's like, oh, that's what y'all felt about me the entire time. Like that is that human aspect is there, right? So I mean, me personally, I don't think Aiton's going to be like a huge distraction to the team. I don't think he's going to be like, oh, you know what, I'm not going to help y'all, get to the finals or to compete anymore. I think Aiton's going to do his thing. I think he continues to do his thing, but um, that is definitely going to be there. And I feel like if there's going to be repeated episodes of like him not being like happy with his role, or if he has like a tight leash, or like his minutes are getting cut down or something like that. Like I feel like if he's going to get upset by it, like will get upset by it, and it's like it's something that's already there in his head, and it's going to definitely like play like mind games with him. You know what I mean? Like especially with the locker room too, because it's like, all right, like this all just happened. You can't just really ignore that all happened. You know what I mean? Especially considering the fact that they were so eager and ready to get rid of you. You know what I mean? So, I mean, again, like in hindsight, yeah, they probably should have pull the trigger on a Detroit deal or a San Antonio deal. Because Brooklyn was like adamant they wanted Devin Booker back, so that was never going to happen. But as far as like him coming back at this, I mean it's fine. You know what I mean? And like you said, like Aaron said, like Steve, what you said, like he has veto power. He has what he's eligible to be traded after January. So again, worst case scenario. I mean obviously Chris Paul's getting older by the year, but again, next year, if you want to re-explore something, if Aiton agrees, like, you know what, like, yeah, I was right last summer. Like, I don't think it's going to work out for me here. Then, yeah, then you can move off of him. But as of right now, it's like, yeah, fine. They re-signed him. He's here. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no issue with it. Like, they're not going to lose anything out of it. Sarver's got to stop being weird. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine though. Like, I think they were just tripping in general. Like, he's a really good center. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he fits the roster really well. It's like obviously, yeah, in some moments, obviously Monty can play him, and naturally he's going to get upset by that. But again, it's like, all right, like again, you guys made the finals with them. I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue as far as what they can do to improve the roster from here on out. They got to explore that. You know what I mean? But again, worst case scenario, just look at it again next year. You know what I mean? You got time. You know what I mean? But the main issue is Chris Paul because he's a cancer. The CP3 stands for. I'm just kidding.
I'll take.
But,
I feel like
Rondo
like
was on that roster.
Exactly. If they replace him with Rondo, they'd be having 2 championships by now for sure, guaranteed, bro. It's crazy.
I feel like that whole situation could have just been avoided if they had just paid him to begin with. Like he ended up getting the max anyway. I think if they would have offered him the max, they would have had like it would have been like they could have offered him 5 years, but even if they offered him 4 years, I think they would. I think with him accepting a deal from another team, it saved them like a total of like $12 million, something like that. It's like, all right, cheap ass Robert Sarver, did you get what you want now? Like
Yeah,
you made your player mad as hell for all this time. You could have just extended him yourself.
Yeah.
It all could have been avoided. It's literally just Sarver just messing everything up there.
Yeah.
Like they have all this success over the last couple of years. Aiton's getting better on both sides every year. He's extremely important to that team. If he didn't come back, then their starting center would be like Biyombo, and then like Sarge is coming back. So I guess maybe Sarge would be like a small ball option. But like, you really think that you can compete without DeAndre Ayton there in that position for you?
All right.
And I was listening to another podcast where Raja Bell was talking about how when he was playing with like that Steve Nash, Mark Stoudemire era of the Suns, like he like kind of grew into like a really good 3-and-D player for them, and he fit really well in their system. And he said that he went to dinner with Robert Sarver the one day, during the offseason. They were talking about a contract extension. And Raja was like, I feel like I kind of played really well over the last couple of years. I have a really good relationship with all the guys on the team. I feel like I deserve like a raise this offseason. And then Sarver was like, you know what, Raja, I agree with you. But there's one thing. I don't have to pay you, so I'm not going to.
What are you serious?
Yeah, that's what Raja said. That
That's
Oh.
crazy.
his conversation when he had dinner with Robert Sarver.
That's ridiculous, man.
It's just
How do you
like
have the balls to say that to your man's face, like right there in the middle of dinner? You know what I mean? Like at the restaurant.
he's like, yeah, you're right. You have been playing a lot better. You are pretty important to this team, but I don't have to pay you that money.
Yeah, I ain't gonna pay. Yeah, I'm chilling, bro. Like, yeah, that's crazy. Dude. That's insane. Like, bro, and it's another thing too. It's like, bro, how are you that rich? And like, you own a team, so wouldn't you want to maximize success and maximize like the revenue and all that?
Yeah.
Right.
How would you be like, yeah, I'm trying to get rid of the bull? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's so weird, bro. Like, I don't know, but no, what they should have done though, they should have traded Aiden to Indiana, and they should have gotten Jalen Smith back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That would have been crazy if they did that. I feel like he would be so crazy in Phoenix. I could see him in a Suns jersey. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Right.
but
Mm.
but I mean, yeah. So I guess like moving on. So I guess like as to like, what team had the best like off season. Obviously we can't go down the list because it would take too long to recount everything. But honestly, for me, the team that had the best off season is the Cleveland Cavaliers, just because we got Raul Neto, and I think that's probably the greatest acquisition of all time. I'm just kidding. No, listen,
Mm.
the team, the offseason that I like the most so far, I would say is OKC. And I think OKC, I'm gonna say it right here. I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna watch OKC a lot this coming season.
Stamped.
Stamps, and I'm going to watch the Pelicans. My Pelicans, of course. But I'm gonna watch a lot more OKC this season. Like I swear, I'm gonna make it a point. Like I don't care if I fail my courses. I don't care. I'm gonna watch them.
Mm.
But I can't wait for them. I feel like obviously it's not like they signed anyone crazy or they had some crazy ass trades, but their
Just
draft, I
good
loved
draft,
it.
man.
Yeah, their draft is great. Obviously they got Chet. That's obviously one thing. Um, but I mean they got Usman Dieng, which I liked a lot what I saw from him summer league. And then they got my boy J. Dub Williams, so I can't wait to watch him pop off. And then again, when you consider the fact, and then obviously the other Jalen Williams too, like when you consider the fact that they're all coming together, with that core they have with SGA and Josh Giddey, like I can't wait. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm really excited for the OKC team. And I think as far as the all season goes, I think I definitely like them just because like I really like the young roster they have and the names that they have is just so exciting. And what they got Lou Dort back. So
And Kenrich.
and Kenrich too. So it's like, yeah, like it's like a lot of good things that I like they did. Like I said, I really like what they're doing. And OKC, I'm gonna watch them. Like I swear I am. I can't wait though. Like I think like a lot of teams have like honestly like Philly too. Like I thought they had a solid offseason too, but I think as far as what I really like the most, I would say OKC just because like it's really weird. Like I'm really excited for it. I'm not even an OKC fan. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. I'm like it got me kind of excited, and it's like I don't know. I feel like I'm one of those people that gap milks like teams, but like I'm actually being serious. Like something about it, like it's cool. You know what I mean? I like what they
I
did.
don't think OKC is going to win a lot of games, but they're just going to be such a fun team to watch. Just all that young talent put together for the first time.
Yeah.
You still have SGA, who's going to be thriving out there. I think arguably OKC's biggest signing this offseason was Chip England, the shooting coach.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot, their biggest issue was like a lot of their guys, they're shooting. Josh Giddey, Dort, his jumper's developing, but he could still use some work. SGA doesn't have his shots also gotten a lot better, but he's still not the best of shooters. Like, and then you bring in all these young guys, having that,
Bro, the GN gets that 3, bro.
all these guys get their stuff down. That's going to be something. Especially, it's great to bring them in too while all these guys are young, so they can get started right away, put in that work, developing. While the best part is they're all young. They're all going to develop together at the same time, which is like such a treat for them.
Yeah. Well, for me, honestly, I think the best offseason so far, in my opinion, was the Hawks because, like, that big blockbuster trade, you bring in DeJounte Murray alongside Trae Young, but that's going to be a solid backcourt. And, like, you already had a competitive team with the Hawks in general right now, and you bring in DeJounte Murray for that defense, and that he's one of the best two-way players in the league, and it's really solid. And he's a young player still, so you have that talent. And also, I feel is not equally as important, but just as important almost is bringing John Collins back and retaining him. Like you still have him on the roster, and still basically keeping that whole that framework intact for that roster. I feel like was solid of them to do. And that whole Kevin Herter thing too, I feel like the Kings overpaid, which, it's the Kings. It's the Kings thing to do. But they did get back was it Aaron Holiday and someone else, like Mo Harkless.
Justin Holiday.
Justin Holiday. And you got a first round pick back too. Like from that, and I honestly think the Kings did overpay for Kevin Herter. Like Kevin Herter is solid, but two players in a pick, I don't know. For the Hawks, who are a contending team, to get that back, I feel like that's pretty solid. And they also had a good draft too. They had was it AJ Griffin?
Yeah.
At number 16, I believe, 18 or 16. And
16.
I honestly think
Were they 15?
I'm not sure. It was
Maybe
that range. It was outside the lottery, but
whatever the pick was.
yeah, but you kept the whole like gang together. Basically, you still have Clint Capella and John Collins your front court, and you have Trey, and you also have DeJounte, who could take that pressure away from Trey. He could also create his own shot and also set up Trey, also, which causes problems for defenses. And also, you have Trey is a liability on defense. That's not a secret. Now you have DeJounte who could help out, and also that you still have that core with you. Just feel like is really important. You have an Eastern Conference where you've made it to the Eastern Conference Finals before. May it be a fluke or not, I don't know. But
the hospital trip. I was kidding.
Yeah, like
hospital ring.
yeah. But I honestly I don't know. It's just really solid, and it's really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. It's a new backcourt, but having DeJounte at shooting guard with Trey, having them working off each other, they can both create their own shot, and it's going to be a problem for defenses. So I'm kind of interested how it'll work.
I also am really intrigued by the Hawks offseason. I really like that DeJounte trade. I really think it's going to get Trey moving off the ball a lot more, which is going to make him even deadlier of an offensive player. And their wing depth is a little bit questionable, but they still have some good 3-and-D guys, like you said. They still have Hunter. They brought in Justin Holiday. They shouldn't fall off a cliff in that regard. And then they still have Capella and Collins, like you said. I think they're going to be a pretty formidable team in the East.
Better than Cleveland, though? I don't know.
I don't know either. I like Cleveland a lot too, but
yeah.
The team I am picking, my favorite offseason, I'm going with the Denver Nuggets. And here's why. First of all, Jokic is back on a 5-year Supermax. They have him locked up for the next 5 years.
That's overpaid, bro. He's overpaid. He's trash.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I'm telling you, they should replace him with Isaiah Hartenstein, but I'm sorry, pop off.
Then, of course, you're going to have Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. back. You don't know if they're going to be 100%, but, just having them back in general is a huge W in my opinion. And then I loved what they did to improve their depth. A lot of people were kind of confused by the Monty Morris, Will Barton trade, getting rid of two of their better role players over the last 3 to 4 seasons. But I think it makes sense bringing in a guy like KCP in exchange for that, who they signed to a 2-year extension right away. The thing that the Nuggets have really lacked is off-ball shooting and defense. And KCP is the epitome of both of those things. I feel like he's such a perfect fit next to Jokic and Jamal Murray. And I think he's the perfect guy to have there. He gets in the passing lane, so he defends on ball well. He's a good team defender. He's the kind of guy they need in that lineup with him and Aaron Gordon there, kind of filling in the holes. Between those 3 really good offensive players. I feel like that's going to be a really good starting lineup. And then, they have Ish Smith off the bench now from that trade as well, which is kind of like a store brand version of what Monty Morris brought them anyway. I love the Bruce Brown signing. He's kind of like a mini Aaron Gordon. He just does everything. The minutes with him and Jokic and the reverse pick and roll and stuff with Bruce Brown as a center and Jokic as the point guard is going to be so fun to watch. Bruce Brown's a guy who can defend multiple positions too. I thought they brought back Davon Reed, who was on a two-way for them last year. I thought his minutes were really solid last year when he was given the opportunity as like a shooter and defender. I just really the only L they took was signing DeAndre Jordan the first minute of free agency started. I didn't understand that at all. But outside of that, I really like their offseason. Even their draft was pretty solid. Like they got Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, and Kamagate, who are like three guys. They're not going to get minutes regularly in the rotation, but if there's ever a guy who's out for a game or two, there are guys you could throw in there, and you can trust them to give you some decent minutes. And then, not to mention, Bones is going to have a lot more opportunity off the bench now, kind of as like their sixth man.
Yeah, no, dude. I saw a tweet and it's like with like the projected depth, I guess, with like when like MPJ gets back, and it's like, yeah, it's like Jamal, KCP, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Jokic as the five, and then off the bench, like you said, like you got Ish, Bones, like Bruce Brown. Like you got like it's such a like
Jeff Green's still there, I think.
What was that?
I think they still have Jeff Green.
And yeah, like Jeff Green, it's like I love their new look. You know what I mean? I feel like they kind of went out and they got the right pieces, especially after that whole Golden State series. And KCP is a guy for a really good championship team. Aaron, I think you would know.
Yes, sir, baby.
Yeah,
My boy.
No, it's more like a slight because why would he go? But whatever. Aaron,
KCP actually said when he was in his press conference with the Nuggets that if AD didn't hit that game winner, then the Lakers would have lost that series to the Nuggets.
That was stupid. I cringed at that. That is gat riding, bro. Like I'm like, bro, calm down. Like that we would have beaten them regardless. Like when I saw that, I cringed. I'm like, all right, bro, like calm down. Like signed, they gave you like $15 million a year. Like that's it. Like just chill out.
Like, what is he bitching?
Like I don't know what that was about, but
that's what. Okay, obviously that was weird, but regardless, though, but I think like as far as their overall depth goes, and like again, like Bones off the bench, like it's great. And like a guy like Christian Brown coming in and like all that, it's like it's great. I definitely like what Denver did. That was like a sleeper pick. I was gonna actually bring that up later for the other question that we had, Denver. I like it. You know what I mean? I like it. I guess like go off of that. Like, what's your guys' least favorite offseason for a team this far? Honestly, I don't even know if I have one yet. I'll let you guys answer first because honestly,
I have one.
You have one
off the bat, and it's not even their fault. It's the Hornets.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy because it's not even their fault. Well, most of it's not their fault.
It's not their fault. Like they could have.
No. Well, no. I'm talking about the Miles Bridges thing. It's completely not their fault. But have they made any moves?
No, they haven't. Just because they're kind of still waiting on that whole situation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know on the top of my head what their cap situation is like, but the whole Miles Bridges thing obviously put a dent in their plans and what they could do. And obviously, free agency, there's not much going on. There's not top tier free agents that can really help you, and literally losing your all-star caliber player to that, which I cannot see him coming back ever again. It's unfortunate because it's not their fault, and he played great last season. He had a breakout year, but obviously it's just unexpected, unacceptable. And losing that, I don't know, man. Like they're definitely gonna take a fall this year because you have LaMelo there. You have who else? You have Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, Rozier is still there. Like there's not much going on. You know what I mean? So losing Bridges is definitely gonna be detrimental to your roster. And I don't know how you could really bounce back from that this year. Next year, who knows? Because again, like as I mentioned before, as of right now, oh my God. As of right now, what was I saying? As of right now, the free agency class for next year is literally awful. Especially if LeBron is signing his extension. You got I don't know who's supposed to be signing their extension next year, who's due for it, but I feel like those are the only free agents that are available for contract extensions. If you want to look that up real quick, but I don't know, like there's not much flexibility for you coming in the future. So they definitely took the biggest offseason L. And it's crazy because it's literally not even their fault. Like I don't even remember like something like this ever happening. Like I can't recall at least.
Yeah, this is like usually an NFL problem type thing, but yeah, it's pretty unfortunate that this whole thing happened. It's inexcusable. I don't really if it does come out that everything that he did is true, which it seems like it is based on the pictures that were revealed, then I don't think he's going to be playing for a long, long time, which is really unfortunate after what he did for the Hornets last year. So yeah, I don't really see them doing much this season, especially also with the Steve. I thought the Steve Clifford signing was a little questionable because
that's another thing.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I thought that was really questionable because
that's another thing.
Because they're kind of going into this not really rebuild, but they have a lot of these young guys now, and especially with like their roster, what their roster's looking like right now, I feel like this next season should be focused more on like development more than anything with LaMelo and their young guys on the roster. And Steve Clifford's the kind of guy who's like he's going to try to milk every win that he possibly can. So he'll definitely prioritize vets over young guys. And after they just drafted like Mark Williams and they brought in like Bryce McGowens, they have like Jalen McDaniels is like a young guy who's been playing really well for them the last couple of seasons. Like if he like kind of halts this young movement they're kind of trying to build here, I think that's a huge L for them this season too. Especially if he starts playing like Mason Plumlee like 30 minutes a game and not giving Mark Williams any opportunity. Like I just don't like what they've done this offseason really either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I largely agree too. Because it's like I think when we were talking about the play-in tournament, I think earlier in the podcast, I think I was saying like they're going to have to obviously address their team needs, but like you're right, they haven't really done jack to kind of fix it. And I don't think Steve Clifford's really going to do anything crazy either. And like, I mean, as far as their defense is still pretty Swiss cheesy. Their offense doesn't look anything like too crazy either. But that's another thing too. Like I'm not really inspired by what they did. I don't think they'll make a crazy leap. I think they'll probably be around that same area. So it's like I think I would agree with the Hornets. Another team I would probably say is probably Washington. Just because I mean we talked about it before. It's like the whole Bradley Beal thing. You know
Too
what
much.
I mean? Yeah, it's too much.
An albatross, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah. And to me, like I don't see a core of Beal, Kuzma,
Porzingis.
Porzingis. I don't see them doing much. You know what I mean? I don't see them going above like the 7th seed. You know what I mean? Like
I like their role players, but I just don't think that's going to do. Like if you're content with being like an 8th seed / play-in like an 8 / like play-in team for the next however many years, then so be it. But
they're never gonna make it anywhere.
And that pisses me off because it's like, bro, like I want to see a good Washington team. I know that sounds weird, but like, we haven't seen like a crazy Washington team. Like I want to see Washington be talked about more as like a market. You know what I mean? Obviously, Aaron, your Commanders aren't doing much to help that notion, but you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Is like the Wizards aren't even the worst team like in their city.
It's like such a mid, like, bro, do something, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, why would you lock up like an aging Bradley Beal? Like, why would you get like Porzingis, who's been like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just like, come on, like, do something. I think that's a team that really pissed me off this summer too.
And you know what the crazy part is? Bradley Beal on that contract is making $250 million over the next 5 years, and that's not even the worst part of the contract. He has full no trade clause rights for the full 5 years. He is the only player in the entire NBA who has a no trade clause on his full deal like that.
That is ridiculous.
And on the last deal, I mean the last year of his contract, he's going to be scheduled to make $57 million.
Oh my god!
Which
bro, 57 is expiring.
No,
That's
no. But one thing is, I think the cap is going to be increased
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
to how much?
Yeah.
no, it definitely will. I'm just saying, but like that's insane though. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
but that's
that's
crazy.
bro.
Regardless,
I'm telling, bro,
I
they
don't.
smoking gat. Like, all right, I get it. It's like, all right, like John Wall, Bradley Beal, like that was a whole era and stuff, right? They fell off since then. If they want to cling on to that, some sort of relevancy by like keeping Bradley Beal here, bro, like fine. But like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do something, bro. Like, not just these mid-ass moves. Like, what the hell's going on with Rhea Hachimura? Like, what are we doing there? You know what I mean? Like, it's like a bunch of questionable.
Yeah. It's,
Like, I don't listen. I don't understand it. Like, what the hell? What's their plan with Denny? Is he going to be like a weird ass role player that just plays defense? Like, I don't understand.
That's
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we
that's
doing?
another
Like, I
thing.
don't understand it. It shouldn't make any sense.
Denny Avdia coming into the league like out of
Yeah.
Israel. He was like supposed to be like this like Luca light like
Yeah.
playmaking big forward guy.
Yeah.
And coming into the league, he has zero offensive game and he's a full-time defensive player, like the complete opposite of what he came out of
Yeah. It's like, bro, that was the point that we might as well.
Uno reverse.
Yeah, it's like, bro, what are we? It doesn't make sense to me. It pisses me off. Actually, now that I think about it, you know what I mean? Like, bro, screw
Look,
Washington.
all I'm saying is
They're
is
pissing.
that Kuz needs to come back.
Kuz is like
Fine.
their most like it's crazy because like on the Lakers, he was like a laughing stock kind of at some points. And now he's like the brightest spot on the
Like a
Wizards right now.
tantalizing guy. Yeah, it's like it's. Yeah, I hate Washington. I hate you guys so much. I don't care. I'll say it. All right, they piss me off.
No, like honestly, like who can you think of being like a more mid team like over the
Bro.
past 5 years? Like they've just like they've either like been a playing team or like made the 8th seed and got swept. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing going on
like,
over there.
All right, before this, you could say it was Indy, but at least they're doing something about it now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think in their
bro.
franchise history, they never won 50 games.
Yeah, like, bro, it's
Really?
sad, bro.
Yeah.
Really? Like even like the early John Wall, Bradley Beal
Yeah,
days?
I think their best record was like 48 wins or something like that.
Oh, wait, overrated bald man could have not carried them.
Oh yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah, no, there's no expectations. Remember that. There's always expectations for LeBron, not Jordan. Remember?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Washington may take the cake. Another team, though, in my opinion, that had some people might not agree with me here, but I don't know. I'm not really all in on what Dallas did either, to be honest. Like at first, I liked the Christian Wood deal. I thought it was cool, but then first day of free agency, they bring in JaVale on a 3-year deal, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then JaVale comes out and says, like, yeah, they told me I was going to be the starting center, and I was like, but they just traded for Christian Wood.
Yeah.
So they're like their whole identity was like they have Luka and then they're surrounding him with like defenders and shooters and like one role man usually in the starting 5. But then like Dwight Powell has been that role. But then like by the end of the game, he's only playing like 10 minutes a game, and then they're bringing like Kleba to play like some small ball 5, like all this floor spacing, switchable defenders. That's kind of been like their identity. And Christian Wood, like he can, I like the offensive fit there. He can come in. He could be like he's like an elite level roll man and pick and pop guy who's a really good like 3-point high efficiency, high volume 3-point shooter at a big man position. So like, okay, I like this move for the Mavs. And then they're talking about JaVale coming in and starting. Like I don't imagine him playing like a lot of minutes either, kind of like similar way he did with the Lakers and the Warriors. Like he would come in and play like 12, 15 minutes a game. So like in that sense, I don't mind it. But you know, if you're playing him and Wood together, like for like decent stretches of the games like that, I don't like it. Kind of just like takes away from their identity. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. And then also, like the whole I just really don't like how they botched the whole Brunson situation. To be honest, like they could have had him for like 4 years, 64 million during the season, and then they're like, no, we'll bring this to the offseason. We'll deal with it then. And then he goes off and he gets this huge contract with the Knicks, which I don't think, like a lot of people say is an overpay. I personally think it's fair value for a guy like Brunson. So I feel like the Mavs should have like even if they brought him in, like I know you want to maximize your talent around Luka, and Brunson's not like a long-term like second guy on a championship team, but
Yeah.
at the very least bring him back, try to trade him if like down the line if you feel like you can get something better, like because I like the dynamic between Brunson and Luka. He could play off of Luka, or he could create for himself and others. Like, you know, I don't know. I like Brunson a lot as a player. He was developing really well. Him and Luka had like a really good friendship and connection on the court, on and off the court. I mean, so I don't know. It was a really weird offseason for them for me.
Yeah, I mean, especially what you were saying earlier, they could have re-signed him like earlier, but I think that whole New York situation is like really sus. I think everyone's talking about it. How like it's like what is like his godfather or something is in the Knicks front office, and then that dude's son is his agent or something like that. It's some weird
I think
crazy
his actual dad is in the Knicks front office.
or so, yeah, that too. It's the weirdest like sus thing ever. It's like it's definitely tampering, but at the same time, I feel like Dallas like they know that. You know what I mean? They're not dumb. Like I feel like you should know who's in whose front office. You should know like you know what I mean, who's connected. So I agree. It's like
They were coming to Dallas games too. Like it was pretty obvious
yeah,
at the start that they were trying to get him.
exactly. Yeah, like that's just weird in my opinion. Like and again, one thing about like front offices know than more than the common people or like reporters. Like you know what I mean? Like you could tell what the what the feelings are. So yeah, that was weird. I do agree with the whole Wood situation because I mean, for me, I think it's weird because I initially thought they were gonna bring him in as a starting center, and then have a center that can roll if you need him or can pop if you need him. And then he's not like the biggest like defensive center guy, but like he's still like a 6'9", 6'10" body, and like
And he's
he's
in a contract year. I feel like he was on the Pistons. The two he's on plenty of teams before this, but the two teams that gave him opportunity were the Pistons and Rockets, who
yeah.
both had like no aspirations to win while he was there whatsoever. So I feel like he's never actually fully locked in on the defensive end either, and he's in a contract year. I don't know. I feel like you couldn't like completely count him out defensively. I feel like especially with the coach like Jason Kidd, like, I felt like the upside is there.
The upside is definitely there. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like I was like, all right. So initially when I think we talked about it too. Like when they initially did it, I was like, all right, bet. Like that's a nice starting center to have. And then you're right. Then they went out and signed JaVale, and then this whole report comes out. They're going to plan and bring him off Christian Wood off the bench and all that. It's like it's definitely is weird. And it's like, all right, bro, whatever. So it's like, all right, fine. You got Christian Wood, JaVale. That's cool, fine. You got like two good big men. But then yeah, that's another thing too. It's like, are they banking on Tim Hardaway Jr. bouncing back and being more consistent next year? Like it's like as far as the perimeter help for Luka goes, it's like it's going to be Dinwiddie, Luka, and then who else? You know what I mean? Like, I like Jaden Hardy as much as the next guy, but like as a rookie, can he come in and help out Luka? Like, I don't know, like probably not. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I also thought it was weird how they're like in the beginning of the offseason, weren't they kind of like shopping Bullock too after he had a really good season?
oh yeah.
I thought that was kind of weird too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, that was kind of weird in my opinion. And it's like I feel like the perimeter is definitely what they needed to work on the most, and like they didn't do jack really about it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like worst case scenario, like I said it last time too. I thought Kleber held down the five spot really well too. Like you know what I mean? Like his defense is crazy. Like he's knocking down his threes. Like I thought he was chilling. Like yeah,
you can play Wood and Kleber together too.
you could do that. Like I feel like fun. You could do whatever the hell you want with the big man position, but I feel like the perimeter, like shot creation, all that, like you needed to get that, and they really didn't do much of it yet. So and then apparently I think after they lost Brunson, they were apparently interested in Colin, which they didn't do jack about. And I'm pretty sure if they were to offer him a contract, I'm pretty sure apparently I think Cleveland will match it. So they're not going to be doing jack as far as I know on the perimeter. So I think I do agree. That's an underrated answer honestly because I feel like people haven't really yelled at them for fumbling. I would say, but yeah, that's a good answer. I don't know. I don't know what they're really doing, but hopefully they have a plan because again, I want to see them capitalize on what they did to Phoenix and that kind of momentum they had. You know what I mean? I don't want them to end up like this past year's Atlanta Hawks team. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. That's good. That's a good answer for sure. All right, I guess we want to move on. What is you guys' favorite signing slash trade? Yeah, I mean, yeah. One of you guys want to go?
Kind of like a two-parter. I like the Blazers signings of Gary Payton II, as well as the Jeremy Grant trade, kind of like just reinforcing that defense there in Portland. It was a much needed thing for them the last couple of seasons. They've been like one of the worst defensive teams in the league and also one of the best offensive teams in the league. But the defense was so bad that it kind of just cancels out their offense. So they haven't really been able to do anything all this time. And I don't know. I feel like them kind of like finally bringing in these defensive guys is a step in the right direction, especially after their extended game. They're trying to, kind of retool around him now. I'm still not in love with the roster overall, just because like I feel like having Damon Nurkic as your point guard and your center Like I feel like the point guard and the center are like the two most important positions defensively because if one of them is bad, then the other can offset the other. Like because those are the two positions that are going to be putting the most actions, like pick and rolls and stuff like that. But when you have Damon Nurkic together, both of those guys are really bad defensively. So that's just like that's just bad from the start. So I don't know. I still feel like there's going to be issues defensively. I don't think they're going to be like an elite defensive team, but I just like that they brought in those two guys because it's just something that they've needed for a really long time. And they're both really good players. So we're going to give them quality minutes.
For me, well, for me, my favorite was DeJounte Murray, but since I already talked about them before, I don't want to say I like it because it hurts me. Uh, I won't say I like it, but the one I'm jealous about is the Brogdon to Boston.
Still my answer.
Yeah. Especially after like all the like talks about like him going to LA, some like LA trade, like that was part of like the original Indiana trade compared to like Buddy and Miles, sorry. But uh I and they gave up looking. Aaron Neesmith, Daniel Tice, Nick Stauskas, Malik Fitz, Juwan Morgan, and 2023 first. Like, I don't know. Like that is five players and a first round pick, but I feel like first of all, I just wasn't expecting at all for Brockton to end up there. Second of all, I feel like Indiana could have maybe gotten better quality, like some kind of better quality trade. There had to be some trade out there that was better quality, but I don't know. I just wasn't expecting that to happen, and it was kind of heartbreaking. And now, like from a basketball roster standpoint, they have like a facilitator there, like at point guard to like with Smart is there, and then you also have obviously Brown and Tatum as of right now at least. You still have them there, so you still have that whole core there, along with adding Brogdon and looking at let me see Boston's other moves. I can't remember off the top of my head what else they brought in, but I want to actually look at that real quick because Boston. Oh, Gallinari. That's another thing. They also brought in Gallinari. So like they still have some kind of depth also. And like as they just came off a finals loss and they're retooling. Who knows if they're done yet? Maybe they still have some spots to fill, but with this whole Katie thing going on, as of right now, if that doesn't happen, I feel like they're due for running it back, which pains me to say, but that kind of hurt me. But I am, from a basketball standpoint, I feel like that was a W for them though, bringing him in.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was gonna definitely say Boston too. Um,
Another thing about that Brogdon deal too is that the Celtics didn't even really need Brogdon, but the fact they're bringing him in to come off their bench, like, and for what they gave up, which is like a first round pick next year, which is going to be like end of the first round, and a bunch of guys who didn't play for them, like that's just like a low risk, high reward type move. Like Brogdon, we know he's had his injury troubles. He hasn't been able to stay on the court for like a full season in his career so far, besides like that one Milwaukee year where he averaged like the 50, 40, 90. But yeah, bringing him in and putting him back in that type of a Milwaukee role next to like all of Boston Stars players and playmakers is I feel like if he is healthy there, he's going to be like the fifth or sixth guy in the depth chart. So I feel like he's going to thrive there, playing off of other guys, and then also helping out those other guys. And even if he doesn't play, you didn't really give up much for him anyway, so it's not really a loss. You're just adding somebody who you still have you still have your same team as last year, even if he doesn't end up playing and getting hurt. So there's no potential loss from this trade whatsoever.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
facts. It's like Aaron, what you said. It's like the return that Indiana got is like it's laughable, I think, and especially considering the fact that like a lot of teams were interested in Brogdon, and they got probably the centerpiece was what like Aaron Neesmith.
Yeah,
Okay, like no, that's crazy. And then Tice is like he's not even in the league anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of crazy in my opinion, but for Boston, like it's obviously insane. And my assumption was that they're going to start him in the backcourt, but they're going to bring him off the bench, like Steve said. And I think like having that and then like Gallinari off the bench and then like you know what I mean. I think that's really great for Boston. Even if they don't get a KD thing done, that's still a really good roster to run it back with. So honestly, I think I would say Boston. I mean, I was going to say Boston too off the jump just because of that. Especially because that Brogdon deal, it was just such an easy like no-brainer move, and it was like it didn't cost them anything. It's like the rich get richer in this sense. So, honestly, like yeah, that was cool. And then honestly, I didn't hate what Golden State did. I mean, I guess they lost. I mean, Gary Payton and all them, but I mean, the guys they replaced him with are pretty like good as well. I mean, they got Jim Michael and they got what's his face?
DiVincenzo.
Yeah, DiVincenzo. Like those are like some really like nice cheap options for them. Apparently they might be interested in Carmelo now, so it's like some like cost
No,
control.
I don't like that for them.
You don't like that for real? I like him as like a catch and shoot, like you know what I'm saying? Like
He's,
I feel they have enough like
he's not a warrior system guy. I don't think that would work.
I don't know. I feel like that whole Renaissance Mellow, like I don't know. I feel like I like him in that word system, but I don't know. Regardless, it's like yeah, you could argue that they lost some important guys, which they did, but I don't hate how they salvaged it. You know what I mean? So if I had to like quickly come on the spot, I would say Golden State, maybe I guess, but I was gonna say Boston just in general, just because I really like that Brogdon deal.
You don't want to say Philly, D'Anthony Melton.
Oh, I mean, I said earlier too. I mean, I really like what Philly did too. I mean, D'Anthony Melton was great. I love that deal so much for them. PJ's contract, we did talk about it before. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't either, but at the end of the day, he's going to help the team in the immediate.
Exactly right. He's going to help the team in the immediate sense. He's going to provide that defense and that corner spacing. So I feel like, especially next to Embiid, that's going to be important. And then what else do they do? Am I tripping?
Daniel House.
And Daniel House. I think that was a really good signing as well. That's another 3-and-D guy to have. But yeah. I would say Philly too, but I mean, I would mainly say Boston for sure. You mean like, and also I'm tripping. So I was going to say Brooklyn. Actually, I was going to say Brooklyn earlier too.
No, dead ass. Like if Brooklyn actually does end up keeping KD and Kyrie, I really fuck with their offseason.
They have a really nice roster, exactly. So it's like I was gonna say them too. It's like yeah, like again, we're talking about Royce O'Neal and all them. Like it's like
Royce O'Neal, T.J. Warren, Edmund Sumner coming off an ACL injury, but he was solid the last season he played in Indiana. They cut Kessler Redder, but then they brought him back on a multi-year deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like their roster a lot too.
Yeah.
If they do retain everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, it was some pretty good signings, but I would say mainly I would say Boston. Yeah, I would say Boston, but Philly and Brooklyn for sure. I think, like I said, I definitely like what they did too, because I feel like they got some nice guys in the roster for sure.
For me, moving on to least favorite real quick. I was going to say Bradley Beal, but we kind of covered that earlier.
Yeah.
But another one that I didn't really like that much, that some people may disagree with, I did not like the Mitchell Robinson Knicks contract, especially after the Hartenstein deal, which I thought was like a steal, kind of 2 years, $16 million for Hartenstein, who was really important for the Clippers last year as a backup. He was like pretty much one of the three best backup centers in the league last year, I'd say. And then the Knicks brought him in this year on that deal. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was kind of like foreshadowing that they were going to let Robinson go or bring him back on like a shorter term deal. But then it was announced like pretty shortly after that they were bringing him back on a 4-year, $60 million contract, which, when he does play, he's decently impactful. He's still a really high foul rate center, but he does like do his job. Like he doesn't take any bad shots. So he's pretty much like a rim roller type guy, lob threat on offense and rim protector on defense, good rebounder. But I don't think that's worth $15 million a year, to be honest, especially a guy who hasn't been able to stay on the floor, much like we've said with a few guys before on this episode. I don't know. I feel like $15 million a year for 4 years is kind of a lot for a guy like Robinson, who hasn't been able to play consistently and who still hasn't really like developed too much to his overall game since he came to the league.
Yeah. I was kind of dumbfounded by that. Me personally, I would say, I just don't like. Well, it's not really the team's fault. I just don't like how he stayed. But I would say Mo Bamba. I wanted to see him on a different team. I don't like how Orlando re-signed him, especially how they handled his minutes and his role the last couple of years. I mean, obviously, I guess he got freed up a little bit more last year, but I wanted to see him on a different team. I don't know. I don't got much to say. I just wish they didn't do that. You know what I mean? It's like especially I
Uh-huh.
just thought it was weird. I thought all the signs pointed to him leaving or him just not like a no reunion at all whatsoever. But I would just say the least as far as like least favorite like signing or whatever. I would say that just because I mean, like I said, I just didn't want to see him end up back there. I wanted to see him move on to a different team, like maybe like the Lakers, something like that. You know what I mean? Something like a bigger spotlight, bigger role. Because like, I like this game coming into the draft a lot. I think he's still a nice player. But yeah, just not Orlando, bro. I don't know.
Is my mic on mute?
Nope.
Okay. Well, honestly, I haven't really thought of a least favorite signing, so I'm just gonna go off of what the Lakers did, which I still don't like,
All of them.
is giving Lonnie Walker the taxpayer mid-level. Uh, well, first of all, I'm not gonna really delve too deep into it, but it just he was expected signing. I just didn't expect him to get on a taxpayer mid-level. Like, if anything, like I would have expected to maybe get Ott, which was which was the frustrating part was we could have gotten him on the same contract except he just went to go to Toronto, which understandable. I don't know if he would have gotten the same role. Like he probably would have started for us, but I don't know. He chose Toronto, but like I don't know. I just feel like Lonnie on a taxpayer mid level. I don't see that much in him. I'm not expecting much. Maybe hopefully I'm wrong that he could be productive this season. But him saying like leave me open from the three, watch what happens. Like I feel like it's just like a recipe for disaster. I didn't like how he said that. Like that got me like very nervous how he said that. And like he is young. He's like explosive player, athletic, but like I just don't think that's what we need right now. Like that's literally Malik Monk from last year, basically. Like just a little less unathletic, and Malik could shoot like a sniper. So I feel like that's a downgrade. Like keeping Malik would have been cool, but we couldn't have paid him. But I don't know. Lanium taxpayer was just pretty questionable to me. Even though this free agency class was very weak on the wing position, I don't know. Like I just wasn't expecting that, and that's just something that's kind of concerning to me still.
Lonnie's with Clutch, right?
Yeah. The Lakers signed like
Yeah,
3 or 4 clutch players in like the first hour of free agency.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like what the Lakers did, like kind of prioritizing bringing like more young guys than like veterans who aren't going to be playing for them anyway.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I still feel like on it, if you're going to try to compete, you need veterans on your team. You can't do all of one or all of the other. It needs to be a mix.
yeah.
I
I
definitely
Montano
agree with that
Anderson's a
too.
solid player. What's his face? Troy Brown Jr.'s had his like bright spots and his miscomings, but like Thomas Bryant, he's just like coming off of an injury too. Damian Jones has been in and out of rotations his whole career. Like these are guys who you take a chance on them. You could either strike gold or you can get like pretty much nothing out of it. So it's like I don't know. It's interesting. Also, I don't know if you knew this, Aaron, but Lonnie Walker was
mm,
statistically the worst defender in the NBA last season, worse than Trae Young.
Yeah,
oh,
actually,
Yeah,
oh, I didn't know that. That's very welcoming. Very welcoming.
it's kind of
Well, I
crazy.
didn't know that. I didn't know it
I
was
had no
that
idea
bad.
either.
Like I thought he was just an average defender, but like okay, I guess not. But thanks for letting me know. That makes me even more nervous.
yeah.
But he said, like you said, leave me open for three, watch what happens. That just like a recipe for disaster, I feel like. But I mean, I like the confidence, I guess.
Real fast before we wrap up, um, there are some remaining free agents left. Before you go into your Colin Sexton rant, Christy, um, I just want to ask you guys one question. What do all of these free agents have in common? We'll start with we have DJ Augustine, we have
Oh,
Avery
look at the
Bradley,
list.
we have Wayne Ellington, we have uh what's his face? Uh God damn it, what's his name? Trevor Ariza. Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard. What do all these free agents have in common?
Uh, what I'm thinking of is most of them are all one-dimensional players.
True, but they were all on the Lakers last season, and nobody in the league,
Oh yeah,
and nobody, and nobody in the
so
league
funny.
lost them.
Yeah, that's so funny. Like that's how bad the team was. I didn't notice if you were going by that, but yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much half of the Lakers rotation from last year are still free agents right now.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
That's how bad it was. It's really embarrassing.
But yeah,
But-
Gucci, there is one pretty significant free agent left. He happened to be a Cleveland Cavalier. He is restricted. He still has not received a significant offer from the Cavs. What are your thoughts on this?
Personally, like I said earlier, I think there's a lot I can say about this, but one thing I will say is, like I said, I'm gonna get the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna go piggyback off what I said earlier. I think Kobe, like the rest of the league, they're waiting on a trade to happen with KD and Kyrie. He's trying to figure out what he could do, like last time with the whole Jared Allen deal, or the Harden deal rather, and sneak in. That's what I'm going to assume right now because that's what they usually do. But recent reports that said like Karis LeVert is probably the starting two, and some members within the front office would rather prefer Karis over Collin. When I see stuff like that, and then when I see stuff like, oh, they offer him a 3-year, $40 million deal, like when I see stuff like that, I think that's like honestly ridiculous. Was it 40 or 30? Which one was it?
40.
40. Yeah,
40.
it's like when I see stuff like that, like it really does boil my blood. Because you're talking about the guy that came in like right after LeBron and took shit from his teammates and from the league, and then like he didn't complain, he didn't say a single word, he didn't do anything, right? He worked his ass off, he just like kept to himself, and then the next season, like obviously Darius came, and then obviously the rest is history. But like the fact that the entire time like he was doing his thing, and then this past season, it's like, all right, fine. He starts to adjust the off-ball role. You know what I mean? He's playing off of Darius. He's getting catch and shoot looks. He's cutting to the basket, and his defense got a lot better too. And he was passing a lot better too. He had a really nice lot of passes to Larry Markkinen, like Evan Mobley, a lot of really nice interior crisp passes, like some really good advanced reads. And it's like, okay, he's putting all that together. His shooting splits weren't great, right? And then he tears his meniscus, and then he's out for the rest of the season. And then for the next like 2 or 3 months, we start rolling, and then all of a sudden, all you see is, oh, the Cavs are better without Colin Sexton, and that's all it is. That's every article you see, every headline, everything. All you see is they're better without Colin Sexton. And then we lose Ricky Rubio, and then from January onwards, I think the only person that was healthy on the roster was technically Moses Brown, and we didn't sign him till March. Right. And it's crazy because literally every person on rotation, and even like guys like Dylan Windler, who got like probably 10 minutes the entire season, he had a whole knee injury. Right. And it's crazy. It's like, fine, they all came back, whatever. Right. But the craziest thing, like Steve went to and Aaron, so like obviously went to the Sixers game, right? Like every game down the stretch, Darius was gassed. Right. Like he couldn't do jack out there because no one else could create. You know what I mean? Like we spent a whole first rounder. We sent out Ricky Rubio, a couple of second rounders on Karis LeVert, and I love Karis, don't get me wrong, but he came in and he couldn't do jack. He couldn't get a shot up, and I give him back for the doubt. I'm gonna give him a fresh slate. I think he's gonna do better this season, but based on what we got last season, literally no one helped Darius out. And the craziest part is the entire time, right, from Darius's rookie year till now, the whole notion was that they can't play together, but Colin and Darius, I'm pretty sure, on the court together, they had a positive rating together. And they know how to play off the ball. And they're boys off the court too, which is a really important thing too, because it's like, again, the whole human aspect is a main point. But it's like, it's insane when you think about like Darius and Colin were playing off ball like really well off each other at the beginning of the season. And Darius really got the off ball thing down pat around the time that Ricky Rubio got injured. So it's like, when you start to consider the fact that we lost out on a 24 points per game guy, like we don't even have to shell out like a 25 million plus contract. Like, he said he wanted 20 million, but I think he'll probably settle for like somewhere around like 17, like 15 to 17 million. I feel like he'll be settling for that. You know what I mean? Like if you want to throw in some incentives in there, that's fine too. But I think it's crazy that we're going to offer a guy that can get you 24 points per game on his last full season. I think I think he shot like 48, 47% from the field. He was like 38 or something, like 37 from three. And then from like free throws, like 85% or something like that. It's like obviously not 50, 40, 90, but it's like 24 points per game, being 23 years old and giving you like consistent half court, like, offense. Like I said, Darius, like that's what we needed this past season. That's what killed our team alongside the injuries. And like it literally shot like Darius's like entire energy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I love Evan, but I don't know if he's making like a leap this season as far as offense goes. I love Isaac, but I don't know if it's going to be that much of a crazy leap. And it's like you would think it'd be a no-brainer to re-sign a guy who's that young, who came in, who wants to be here. You know what I mean? He was all about Cleveland. He said he wants to be here. He worked his ass off the entire time, right? And you can give him like a 20, like you can compare to a Jalen Brunson contract. You can give him $20 million in exchange. He'll give you 24 points per game. Even when he was there, like even when he played the off-ball role, I guess like the season prior, with Darius, he still averaged like 4.4 points per game. And I think that season too, the craziest thing I saw a stat recently, in potential assists, I think he averaged like 9.6 potential assists per game, which was about like, I think like 10 or 11 in the league or something like that. It was like pretty high up. So it's like he has gravity. You know what I mean? He has the vision. He was literally doing it this season. And it's like, and another argument is, I'm sorry, I don't want to ramble off. It's like another thing is, it's like he has had games where he's had like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 assists, right? But think about it. And it's like, there's people who was like, oh, he's had seasons where he's averaged like 2 or 3 assists. Like, all right, but when you think about his next best options being Jaron Blossom game and Alec Burks and some random ass like point guards, it's like, okay, naturally, it's like passing it is one thing, but the another point of assist is the players are making the shots. You know what I mean? And again, like going back to what I said earlier, when Laurie was in the game or when Evan was in the game or Jarrett was in the game, they're cutting inside, they're playing inside. He was playing some really good skip reads or secondary playmaking alongside Darius, and it's like, it's just so weird to me, in my opinion. It's like, it's just so weird. Again, if the reports are to be believed, if they're not as keen on bringing him back, I just think it's odd that you don't want the guy that wants to be here, can give you 24 points per game. A meniscus injury, coming from a guy who had a meniscus injury, like it's not serious. You know what I mean? Like Robert Williams, he had a Mickey Mouse like return, like you know what I mean? Like that was the unsafe route, but he still be able to come back in like what 2 or 3 weeks, and he's still playing at a high level, right? A meniscus injury is not serious. Like it's not like an Achilles injury or like a second ACL injury like Rubio is, and it's like, I just think it's crazy. I'm giving the front office benefit of the doubt because like they like the entire season they were talking about bringing Colin back and how much they valued him, how much they love him. So I'm gonna again continue alongside that. I'm gonna assume that they were looking for a deal to get rid of Jetty and Dylan and free up some space. That's what I'm assuming right now. But if these like weird ass like rumors are true, where they were just like, nah, we don't really care about him. I think we can survive without him. We can just have Caris instead. That is some really weird energy. And I think I will be very disappointed if that's the case and he signs the qualifying and he leaves next summer. And if that happens, then I'll be very disappointed as a fan. And I will probably become a full-time OKC fan from there on. But end of rant. But there you go.
I think the main thing with the whole Sexton thing is there's a lot of really good guards in the league right now, and a lot of them are paid pretty handsomely, like you said with the Brunson thing. Me personally, I would probably take Brunson over Sexton at this point. But also with the Cavs situation, they have Darius Garland now, who seems like he's going to be like a perennial all-star with the way he played this season. They're going to want the ball in his hands. And like you yourself have also said this, 2 small guards is not the formula you want for a championship team. And having Sexton and Garland together, not necessarily that they can't play together. Like offensively, it could definitely work. But defensively, they have their whole thing that they're doing now with like lengthiness. If you have 2 small guards, I feel like that kind of like makes it a little bit weird in that sense too. And Sexton, he obviously is a pretty efficient scorer, but I see him kind of in that like that Tyler Hero mold of player. Like I think their best is like a super 6-man type thing where like they're like main focus is to like come in and get buckets. Like Sexton, like you said, he did have like a lot of potential assists that one season, but like you said, he didn't really have many teammates, so he had the ball in his hand constantly, and he's like you said, he has does have gravity. He's bringing in a lot of attention from the opposing defense, but when he's on the court and he has the ball, I feel like he's not actually like actively looking to get other guys involved. I feel like he passes it out of necessity more so than like having actual like passing vision, if that makes any sense. But overall, I do think some people do underrate Sexton. He is a valuable player. I think if the Cavs were to retain him, that obviously would be a plus and he would do good things for the team. But at the price that he's looking for, I don't think the Cavs value him like that. And I don't think too many other teams do as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll say one thing. I was like, all right, fine. It's like I want Sexland to be a thing for sure. I mean, I'm fine if they, start the game off with him, and then like a minute or 2 minutes in, they run with the second unit. Like that's fine with me. And then like as far as like defense goes, I feel like one thing is like people always bring up the whole Portland argument, but when we have like Evan and Jarrett holding it down there, and then Lowry who's a lot better on defense. And then we have like serviceable guys like Lamar Stevens, who's like 6'7". He can play really good defense. You know what I mean? Dean Wade can really play good defense. And then again, Isaac, he's like 6'6". He can start off like some 3 minutes. Ochai is supposed to be a really good defender. It's like I'm not really worried about that defense really because I think I mean, especially think about it too. I feel like with Utah too, it's like if Gobert can handle four guys not playing defense, then I think Jared and Evan can more than make up for it. And I think this past season, especially too, I think I was liking like what I saw from Colin in his off-ball defense a lot. Like his on-ball defense still isn't the greatest, I would say, but this past season, I remember he was pulling that Delvedova, like you know what I mean, like cutting off the passing lanes. He was getting really active in there. So, and I think Darius also got like a pretty good improvement too. But that's another thing too. It's like as far as like who has to close out games and all that, that's a whole different conversation. And obviously defense could be an issue, but my whole thing is I feel like again you're talking about like that playmaking in general from that backcourt is like literally insane. You know what I mean? I feel like what I said earlier, like Darius is gonna do his thing. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna either take a deep three or he's gonna pass it inside. But I feel like when you have like Colin who can shoot a high volume and he's a little like a 3-level scorer, right? If you have him alongside Darius, like that's gonna like relieve so much pressure off him. And again, like if you want to close a game off with Karras, like then fine, go ahead. But I think like I don't know. I feel like if you give like Colin like an $18 million contract, that's more than a bargain. That's more than fine. I feel like he'll take that too. You know what I mean? It's like
I think that's a solid. I think that's a
a solid
solid
number
deal
right there,
for
right.
Sexton too. But
Exactly.
it's just I don't know. The Cavs eventually they're already paying Allen. They're already going to have to pay, or they just paid Garland. I mean, that doesn't kick in until next year, I think.
Yeah.
They have Levert now, who's on like a handsome contract. I guess like was it like 15 million a year or something like that.
Something like that.
They're going to have to pay Mobley eventually. I know it's not for like a couple more years, but you have to be thinking about these things. So like, I don't know. It just seems like he's like kind of like their lowest priority out of like all their core guys. And
Yeah, I mean, I think having Karras over him, if that's true, I think that's disrespectful. I think that's just stupid. I think anyone could agree with that.
I mean, me personally, I like Karis LeVert, but I think the idea of Karis is better than the actual
player.
than the actual yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just Sexton. He is a good player, but there's just a lot of better players at the position who do things better than he does.
I mean, probably. I'm just saying, as far as the culture perspective goes, and like what he can do, and again, like the fact that he's already boys with Darius, I feel like that's already good. And I guess I think next year too, I think like we have I think 4 or 5 expiring contracts, so we have a lot of space next year too. And I doubt LeBron's coming. You know what I mean? I doubt LeBron's coming to Cleveland. So it's like I'd rather just keep our core intact, and then again, fine, like pay Evan. That I feel like we'll have space for that, and then I don't know. It might be like a homer take, but at the same time, like I like just based on what I've seen from Colin, like especially from this beginning of the season, like fine. If he was completely just like a lost cause, then sure. But like what I saw this season, like off the jump, like where he actually embraced that off ball role and then that little bit of that defense role, and then like I said, like that secondary playmaking role, like he was doing it for the solid month and a half, and then that nut ass meniscus injury happened. So it's I feel like. I'm confident in him, you know what I mean? Because it's literally from 2018 where he was probably the worst player in the league till like right like well until like last year where he's giving guys 24 points per game. So I feel like I definitely like have faith in his growth. And like I'm just saying right now, like all right, fine, like whatever, no matter like what your what your view on him is, like when you consider the cultural context and his that whole his whole like mentality context and now like how he's like made improvements, how he's committed to the team, how he's boys with Darius, and he like likes being around the team, like and he likes being in Cleveland. When you consider everything like that, and like again, like not even a crazy super like serious injury, like it's like I just think like again, I doubt it's true or entirely true, but I'm just saying if it's like if they're not really if they're giving a guy like Karras like more priority over him, I just think that's messed up. Like that's just my issue. But I think he'll be back. That's not the issue. Like just to wrap it up, my point, I'm just saying like obviously he's going to be a Cleveland Cavalier this season. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about like from next season onwards, like you know what I mean. What the hell is where he's going to be, and that's what worries me. Because like I said, like at the jump of a rebuild, like you want to see all your. Obviously, it's not always going to happen, but you want to see all your guys that started off, go through all the motions together, get that success together, right? Like that's the dream. So again, that's a part of me talking from that perspective. But again, it's like, but as a player, he is really valuable. And if it has to be like a Tyler Hero type role, I mean, so be it. I feel like he'll be fine with it too. Like he said, he's willing to take whatever role he needs to. So, I mean, look, I just think it's not that hard. I just think just get rid of the 2 salaries, re-sign them. We have plenty of money next season. It should, you know what I mean? Like I think we should just keep him. But that's my end of the rant. Aaron, he's not going to the Lakers. Okay, Aaron, I don't like the Lakers. All right, I don't care if LeBron's there and he's a clutch agent. I don't give a damn. All right, but to wrap it up though, it's a crazy long episode. We might just make it a 2-parter. But thank you guys so much for coming on. I mean, staying on. Obviously we haven't talked about free agency and since it happened, so that's why it was a long ass episode. Obviously if we did, it would have been a shorter episode, but yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for the continued support. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, Spotify, you know what I mean? Like follow, drop 5 stars, Apple Podcasts, whatever you got to do. For my listeners in Germany, danke. And for my Aruba listeners, was good.
No.
And but yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Boys, if you want to sign off.
Thank you for tuning in. We just hit 750 streams on Spotify, by the way. I want to thank you all for that. We're climbing up there slowly but surely. But thank you for tuning in and stay posted for the future. Go Lakers.
Not go Lakers. Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah, and stay tuned on the YouTube channel because we might do something soon. But yeah, as always, guys, good night, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bada bing, bada boom.
Peace.
Okay. All right.